Hey, it's Sarah with House Copper. Today we're gonna do another how to make a base for a piece of cookware when you're making it by hand. But we're gonna do it without using the circle cutter. One, because circle cutters are hard to find and not a lot of people have circle cutters. I didn't either until I was like, I don't know, like 5 years into this business when Bob found me one. But also because circle cutters usually only go a certain width. They do make them in all sizes, but you're lucky to just get one. Some only go to a very small diameter and some go to bigger diameters. I have kind of like an average one, but I don't have one that can go almost 20 inches, which means you have to do it by hand, everything by hand. So, sorry, it's morning and I'm still coffeeing. This is a giant pot and building, totally by hand. And just a few notes about this. In the old days, copper sheet did not come in the 10-foot rolls that you see me use here. They would come in pieces that were usually like anywhere from 10 to 12 inches wide and usually no more than about 14 inches long. So if you wanted to make something this big, you were looking at multiple pieces of cookware or multiple pieces of copper in order to make a piece of cookware this big. And so even something today, I ended up using 4 seams, 4 pieces to help with the unwieldiness and strength, because if you have one long sheet to go around, you actually have a wobblier body. So as you can see, there's several crimp seams in this one big giant pot. But we're gonna have to make the base for it. This is almost 20 inches in diameter, so I measured it after I burred the bottom, and we're gonna end up cutting a circle that is 19.5 inches in diameter to accommodate the burr and the eventual crimp seam that I'll be doing. And then once it is all put together, eventually, and I'll do this in another video, we will be double bottoming this particular piece, which I have not done before. So if you're looking at how to double bottom something, we'll be doing that with this as well, again, in another video. So without further ado, we're going to go and do the hand cutting of the base for this giant pot. One of the tools you're definitely gonna need when you go with bigger diameters is a giant compass. Giant. This one is huge. And I need it to be that huge because mine will not go to what I need, the one I have in house. I guess maybe I could, but I'd rather have something this big. So 19 and a half works out to 9 3/4. If I'm over, there we go. So first you measure it, and then copper sheet does really only come in a standard width of about 20 inches, unless you special order and pay an arm and a leg and triple the cost. And I am holding this piece. It's not gonna work. I was holding it with that. But obviously you don't want to waste material if you can help it. You have to make sure, and I think actually what I should do. Here's another trick that I'm just remembering now. Find your center point using this. So because this is 20 inches, I need to sit right here at 10. Was off, clearly, because then I will have room. So always triple check your always triple check. And as you can see, this copper is miscolored because of heat. Do not fret. It actually makes it easier for me to see my lines, and it will polish out. As you can see too, where my, where the point of my compass is has a point in here. Or it's like pushing deep, I guess. I don't know if you can kind of see that it kind of is dimpling it. You know how you look at old cookware and it has at the bottom of a lot of them, there's like that dot? That's from when they used to cut out pieces of copper by hand, or using even just like a smaller, like a hand, like one of the other compasses type of material, but that created that dimple in the blank. And that's where that comes from, is the process of preparing a circle either for a base or for the full blank that's going to be pressed up. So now, I mean, now you know what that's from, and you've seen how that happens. I mean, it's right there. So you'll always know where the center is. And actually it helps me too in terms of centering it, and when I'm doing handles for the cover that goes on top too. So now that we've cut this ginormous circle, now we get to cut it out completely by hand, and there's some tricks to that as well. So we're gonna do that next. All right, I've said this before, and I will always say it whenever you're cutting out anything, but the least amount of material you have to cut away when you're doing anything by hand, the happier you will be. So, here's my square, right? But, it's still a square, and if I were to cut this by hand, I would be actually making my job a lot harder, and it's a lot harder to remove the material smoothly, because that's the goal when you're cutting by hand, is to have as little burr as possible on your edge. You're always gonna have a little one, but the least amount you have, the happier you and your burring process will be. So I'm taking very carefully all the excess off the corners, so that you can start to see the circles. And I know I've shown this before, but it always bears repeating, especially even on giant pieces like this. The least amount of material you have to maneuver when you're hand cutting is only helping yourself. All right, so now it's on to the hand cutting. Okay, so we have this, and I have my snips. This is a curved snips. There's left-handed, right-handed, but the goal is, once you get started, is you want to push the material into the crease of your snips, because that'll create the smoothest looking cut that you can give it. And that's my husband leaving, who's trying to sneak out, but his phone makes noise. Always. Bye, honey. Have a good day at work. So, as you can see, I'm going very slow, and I'm pushing. I know it's hard to see, but I'm always making sure that the material is as tight into the crease of my snip. So I'm always almost like pushing and cutting at the same time, if that makes sense. So push and cut. And what that does is it creates a much smoother surface, as opposed to like a choppier one if you're not pushing the metal into the snips as you cut. Okay, so there we have it. I'll probably burr it opposite so it stays flat. You can always, if you have a big enough rollers, which I do not, you can always roll it through your rollers and it will flatten like opposite, just real lightly, and it will take that kink out from when it was shipped. So that's just another clue you have, but my roller would not take something this big. So anyway, so the next thing will be burring this and doing a typical crimp seam, which you can see how it's done on the videos I have posted on how to make a cylinder and you know, how to make a cup. I don't even know what I'll have, but anything that talks about how to like fulfill a, or to put a base on something. That's all I'm gonna be doing next. And then, like I said, I'll be doing the double bottoming of this piece in another video on how to double bottom a pot. So we're gonna do that next on this. And that's all I've got for you today is just the measuring out of a giant circle and cutting it by hand. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments or any other comments. I love to hear from you. If you have ideas on other videos, please send them my way as well. Find me on Facebook and Instagram. I don't really do the Twitter. All under House Copper. Pick up a copy of Copper, Iron, and Clay if you are so inclined to learn more or read about it. And don't forget to subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time.